So why do you think that is? I mean, why do we allow ourselves to get to that point? Is it, bad childhood, our inability to talk to somebody, not able to express our problems? What do you think are the problems we face as men today?
I think people are lazy, for starters, and they'd rather sit around and play video games and watch TV, for starters. And, that's where it starts. Then you feel like shit. When you feel like shit, well, I'm just going to sit here. I don't want to do anything. Or you hurt yourself. You could be on the road having an amazing recovery and getting, on your way to getting in good shape, then you hurt yourself. Then you come into the excuses, why you can't do something. You see, when I'm actually doing my inspirational talk, I will address all of this. And the thing that's really fascinating about doing the DDPY workshops, if there's 60 people there or there's 150 people there, there will be at least half of that crowd to 60% of that crowd will come by themselves. Now, that's huge. That someone would actually not have to have someone come with them. And I always encourage people, come with 2 or 3 of your buddies, but some people can't find other people to go with them. So they muster up the courage to come by themselves. And that is huge, because that's the first step in what I call owning it. And I'm writing a book right now. The editor has the book right now and is going to get me back notes so I can do whatever the rewrite is. But it's called Positively Unstoppable: The Art of Owning It. And it can be your health, your personal relationships, your business relationships. It could be your goals. It could be your fitness level. It could be your weight. It could be any and everything. Because the big part of my inspirational talk will be focused around the story we tell ourselves. That inner voice that's inside us. The voice that says, you can't do that. That's impossible. No, you're going to fail. You're going to suck. Oh, God, I hope I don't really suck at this. Oh, God, I'm the queen of the excuses. Oh, my God, I'm the king of the excuses. I'm the shits. I'm no good at this. You know what I was saying before I walked out in front of 22,000 people on March 30th for the WWE Hall of Fame? Before I walked out there with my 4 gorgeous daughters, as Eric Bischoff is giving me the introduction, there is one voice going on in my mind. And it's so loud that I'm literally saying it to myself over and over again. And it went something like this. This is going to be the greatest talk you've ever done. You are going to blow people away. You're going to make them cry. You're going to make them laugh. You are going to move people to action. This is going to be the most inspiring talk anywhere, at any time, on any stage. And then I'd say it again. And then I'd say it again. And then I'd say it again. The whole time I might be taking pictures of my daughters backstage. I might be watching my open before Bischoff comes out. The same voice is going on in my head. This is going to be the best thing you've ever done. Now, I'm also breathing in and out, like in for a count of 20, and out for a count of 20. And I know about how long that is because I've done it so many times. But I'll started with 3 seconds in and 3 seconds out. And then eventually I'll build to 5 and 10. And at some point, I'll just be breathing in and out. And I know I'm somewhere around 20 to 30. And what that does, it levels you. It gives you composure. It gives you a confidence that goes along with the inner voice that you can only describe by doing it. Because most people breathe like this. Or right before, and it's not that loud, but that's how they breathe. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Here's the voice most people are saying to themselves before they ever speak in front of anyone. Like, speaking publicly has been leveled at, number 1, fear, dying. Number 2, fear, having to speak publicly. And the ones that have to, who don't master the art of owning it, the inner voice will be, oh my God, this is going to, God, I hope I don't suck. I hope they don't hate me. Oh God, I hope I don't forget anything. Oh fuck it. Oh, this sucks. Oh man, I can't do this. Oh man, I suck at this. How did I ever get talked into this? Oh my God. Like, that's the inner voice. A little bit different, the one that's going on in my head. And it works for absolutely everything.
So how did you develop that? Was that just practice, or, you know, how did you manage to get to that level of mental strength?
Repetition is the mother of learning. I wasn't born like this, you know. I once heard Tony Robbins say, I'm a big Tony Robbins advocate. What was fascinating to me was how he was 3 years younger than me and doing infomercials at a time when infomercials were just being developed. And he was a forerunner of that. And you have to understand that I grew up with ADD and dyslexia at a time when no one knew what the hell ADD or dyslexia was. They just thought we were stupid. And my reading level when I was 30 was at about a 3rd grade level. Reading and my writing was probably at a 2nd grade level. And I couldn't read Tony's books because I just didn't have the ability at that time. So my whole thing was, I'm never going to be a reader. I'll get someone else to read it to me, or I'll figure it out. But Tony had developed these cassette tapes. So even if you couldn't read it, you could listen to it. And I've done many of Tony Robbins' programs, and I am a disciple, and I've made a lot of the stuff that he teaches my own. And the reason I made it my own and continue to teach it my way is because it works. And I've learned through God, not just him, but so many. Like, no one, to me, like, depression's a serious thing, and people get seriously depressed. But if you do nothing about it, and you embrace the depression, you're fucked. Like, you can't. You've got to, if you don't want to be depressed, you got to work at it. Now, here are the things I tell people to do that live with depression. Number 1, go on YouTube and just type in motivational speeches, inspirational videos. There are thousands of them. Some are better than others, but they're all great in the way that what's being said needs to be heard, said, and written over and over and over again. Now, I'm going to give you a mantra or a affirmation, because that's what it says in this this piece I'm about to say to you. I'm going to give you a quote that someone said. You're not going to have any idea who said it. But when I tell you what he said, you're going to know exactly who said it. And you're not from my country, so this guy was so internationally revered, you still should know who it is. You might not, though. How old are you?
34.
34. I'm 61. I grew up with this guy, okay? But for you not to know what the quote is, like from Henry Ford or Winston Churchill or whoever, for you not to know what that quote is, because you've most likely never heard this quote. For you to not know the quote, but know who said it by what he said, how powerful would that be?
It's really powerful.
Okay, here's what he said. And I'm going to give it a couple times because people really need to hear it. And it's something like this. When I see it, I memorize it. I own it. It becomes a part of my life. And I say it at some point every day. I might say it 20 times that day. And I might be referring to it like I'm about to right now. Here's what he said. The repetition of affirmation leads to belief. I'm going to say that line again. The repetitions of affirmations leads to belief. I'm going to break that down. When I started in the AWA in 1988, in 1989, Freddie Blassie, Classy Freddie Blassie, brought my demo tape into the WWF. Pat Patterson watched it and liked it, but thought I was too big, too tall to be a manager. So I'm already being told why I can't do something by a guy that controls that position. But here's the affirmation. When I would be playing pinball, I would say to myself, I'm going to get into the WWF. I'm going to get into the WWF. Boom, boom, boom. Playing pinball. I'm going to get into the WWF. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. Someday, I don't know when, but someday, I'm going to be in the WWF. That was my affirmation in 1988, 1989, 1990, 91, 92, 93, and just keep going until the day I got there. And it was not what I wanted it to be. It was disheartening. It knocked me on my ass. It was not what I saw for myself, but I also know that I didn't follow up on the idea I had 2 years earlier about People's Champion versus People's Champion. Vince McMahon taught me so many lessons that day that would help me later on in business. Like, you can't be afraid to walk away from the table. I was 45 years old. I knew when I came in to what would now be called the WWE that my window was short. My window was short. So I had to, move quickly. And I should have taken a deep breath and got up from the table and walked away and said, Vince, thank you for the opportunity, but that's not for Diamond Dallas Page. When you want to do People's Champion versus People's Champion, call me back. Now, who's the other People's Champion? Oh, my God. He's the biggest star in the effing world now. you know? Mm-hmm. But that's a whole other thing. But what it taught me, ever since that day, if something didn't work for me, I'd get up and say, thank you so much for the opportunity. Like I said to Shark Tank, when they really wanted us, and 5 interviews later, and you guys call it, what do you guys call Dragon's Den in your country?
Oh, yeah, Dragon's Den, yeah.
Right. For our country, it's Shark Tank. And Shark Tank is humongous. And I turned them down after 5 separate interviews. And I told my business partner, send him an email, thank him for the opportunity, but we're going to pass. And my business partner, Steve Yu, said, Steve, are you crazy? Like, we just spent 2 years on this goal. I said, Steve, I will never let anyone control my destiny. Shark Tank wanted control over everything. I said, I'm not doing that. You know, we're good the way we are. We'll be fine. And it's 90 minutes later, they called me back. How do we fix this? And I thought, wow, thank you, Vince. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Vince. Because if I don't learn that lesson with Vince McMahon that day and Shane McMahon, I never have the success that I have with my program. Mentally, financially, spiritually, just because of all the people I've helped. So back to the quote, the repetitions of affirmations leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. We'll say it one more time. The repetitions of affirmations leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Do you know who said that?
I think is it Muhammad Ali?
How did you know that?
I'm sure I've heard that, and when you were saying it, I could hear his voice saying it, and I'm sure I've heard him say that, and I can't think why. It just really clicked.
So let me ask you this. What did he say?
It was something about his deep belief.
No. What was his affirmation?
Oh, his affirmation.
Here's what he said. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest of all time.
All right, yeah.
He's been saying it since he was 17. Think about that. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest of all time. He'd been saying it since he was a kid. When they picked the top 100 athletes of all time in the world, in the last century, not of all time, in the last century, he's number 4. He's the number 1 boxer by the next guy is Joe Louis at 17. He is considered by the sports writers the greatest of all time. He'd been saying it since he was a kid. That's what I mean about the affirmation. You know, before I walk out there and in front of this crowd for the Hall of Fame, this is going to blow people away. I'm going to make people cry. I want to make people laugh. Most importantly, I'm going to inspire them. Like, that was my affirmation. I was saying it from the moment I started writing it. And I just can't even tell you how many people pulled me aside after my speech and told me, Shane McMahon, man, Shane went on and on and on. So did Stephanie, which to me, they're the 2 people I want to impress. Of course, Vince gave me a great job, Diamond. But, you know, everybody else gave me a fight, like, because that's just the way it is. That's how Vince is. Vince has got 6 million things on his mind. You know, and so does Shane and so does Stephanie. But Triple H, too. You know, I mean, wow. He wrote me a beautiful text about how much he loved my talk.